Good morning, my brother, and good morning to your listeners.
And first, I hope you're well.
I'm very well. By the grace of God, I'm well.
And I'm sure you've heard the minority leader on they call it a raid of the house of the governor of the Bank of Ghana. What does the Attorney General's Department know about this?
Okay, so you know that we have been working to recover the loot as we put it the oral. Okay, so this entails a number of investigations involving a number of officials and even private persons. The Bank of Ghana governor is one of the people who are being investigated. To be able to conduct a proper investigation, you and I know that sometimes searches must be conducted and arrests must be made. So we procured a search warrant which authorized the officials to effect the search and, if anything, arrest. We at the AG's department have been briefed about what actually transpired during the during the search. The procedures that are required to be followed were fully followed. In other words, the officials usually will come to the premises. They will indicate to you their mission. They will show you the search warrant, and then they will commence the search. With your assistance, you would follow them around, and they will be in their presence while they do all this search. As far as the briefing we have received at Attorney General's Department goes, all these procedures were followed. And indeed, we have no reason to doubt these briefings. However, we noticed that after the search, certain information was put out, and the search has been named a raid. A raid generally is an unlawful conduct, and is made up of carrying away things from a person's possession without lawful authority. But once the media has decided to call the search a raid, I'm not faulting the media because it is information they have that they are working with. But the information which we have at the Attorney General's Department has nothing in common with the raid. It was a lawful search. Procedures were followed. Now, when you are conducting a search, the search warrant usually will allow you to seize or carry away anything which you suspect to be evidence for the investigation you are conducting. So I understand a gadget was pulled out and carried away, but that also is within the authority of the warrant that was given. If carrying that gadget away would be what the media would decide to call a raid, then probably we would have to differ from that nomenclature, that is the raid nomenclature. So as far as we know, we are not aware of anything that would be untoward in the raid. However, we are also not saying that nothing untoward could happen. But usually in these procedures, when something untoward happens, that is, if excesses were reached in the raid, usually we expect that the person whose place was searched would file a formal complaint, and that is what the procedure is. Then that complaint will be investigated independently to confirm whether the allegations of excesses were true. And so, as we sit this morning, as I sit in my office, I'm not aware of any such formal complaint of any excesses.
Former BOG Governor Ernest Addison has not filed a formal complaint.
As I'm saying, I'm not aware of such if he has filed, because if he's filing a complaint, he may file it with us or may file it with other institutions. But as I sit here this morning, I am not aware of any formal complaint which has been filed reporting any excesses. And I want to assure the former governor and everyone who may be concerned in this, that we will take up and investigate, and if when necessary, have a legal remedy for any excesses that may be reached. Because let me make this point. My boss, the Attorney General, and His Excellency have a policy. And the policy is that never should a criminal investigation lead to abuse of human rights. So you would notice that in the past couple of days, we've been blamed by a section of the public that we have promised oral and we have not taken any steps, and they are just there and we are just not doing anything. And that is because of the policy of His Excellency and also my boss, and which I believe in, that you could still investigate a crime without abusing a person's human rights. And we also believe that there is no point hurriedly arresting someone, placing the person before a court, and now going to commence investigation. So what we have chosen to do in line with this general policy is to ensure that we have sufficient evidence before we take any steps to put a person before a court of law. So we have been very patient, and I know the public understands, and some are being frustrated by our diligence or our approach. So it is quite rather strange that in the middle of all this, we would be accused rather of being the ones, conducting what the media or a section of the media have decided to call a raid and abusing a person's human rights based on information which some persons or politicians will put outside.
So, on record, per the briefing you have been given by those who carried out executed a search warrant on your behalf, nothing of sorts or nothing of what the minority leader is saying happened.
No, nothing has happened. Nothing. We are not aware of anything he's saying, and I expect that as a public official, a high-ranking one at that, the minority leader would be more, measured in the way he goes about his public engagement. Some elements of discretion and measurement would be required for a lot of the things he puts out there. He knows very well that if someone goes to make any allegation against him, I believe he will be interested in having a formal way of the allegation so that he can respond. So for him to continue to just be saying things that usually will have no factual or legal basis repeatedly for a very long time for a person of his ranking is becoming a worrying, phenomenon which I am sure he would have to do something about. Because if he is speaking, the former governor who is the alleged victim or who is the person who has been searched has been quiet. All we know is that you visited him and then he probably have briefed you. But I believe the former governor has what it takes to, and understands the system, being a former senior official of this country. He would know that when such things happen, he would have to make a formal complaint and would have to take steps. So for the former governor is quiet, and the minority leader is rather the one talking and saying the things that we are not aware of. Is quite worrying. So we will plead with the minority leader that to advise the former governor or advise himself so as to make his complaint and concerns formal so that we could address it. Because our regime is not a regime which is interested in harassing people for the sake of it. We have been, and you could see that is what we have been doing, even to the point of having being criticized by people who think we are being dormant and slow.
Because the allegations is making serious. He even used the word stole, including talking about 10,000 CDs, earrings and necklaces, and even alleges that the governor's cars were driven out and then they were just left at some location and he was called, the car is here, go and pick it. Those are very serious allegations being made, calling people who national security operatives as hungry boys.
Yeah, that is what I meant by that. It is unfortunate, and I don't have a problem if what he's saying. At this point we cannot even know whether they are true or not. But the only way we can officially confirm these things is when a formal complaint has been made and a formal investigation is carried out. Because as far as we are concerned, the only formal information we have is the one which tells us that all procedures have been followed. So if there is any other information that he has, if he ought to, because one day, I'm sure, even if they've stolen your money or your jewelry, I'm sure you are interested in having the jewelry back and the money back as much as all the other things. So, what better way do you have having those things back apart from making a formal complaint to law enforcement, the police, or the persons who came to do the national security or the Attorney General's department? So if there's a genuine desire to have the things back and have the law take its course, I think the only way to make such complaints is through law enforcement. But if you would avoid law enforcement complaints and be rather engaging in, I mean, there's nothing wrong in engaging the media on this, but I believe that beyond that, steps should be taken to have a formal remedy, so that this matter will be properly investigated and those who are ought to be sanctioned will be sanctioned.
Well, he makes two claims. One, this is the first time a governor of the Bank of Ghana is being put through such a treatment. Secondly, he said you were looking for money. He said they had some, vault or something in his house. Is that accurate?
Look, a search could be for money. And don't forget that we are investigating a series of cases, So a search could be a search to look for money. It could be a search to look for documents. It could be a search to look for even clothes or even shoes, whatever, So I don't think that in itself, looking for money is, conducting a search to look for money itself is not a crime or is not wrong, so long as money will be one of the things that will be necessary for the investigation to be properly done. So I don't see how, even if the investigators were looking for money, would become a point of and again, unless it means that they don't have money, they are in need of money and they want to take the government's money and use. And I don't know if that's what he implies by the fact that they are looking for money. But if they are looking for money, it should be money which is relevant for investigation. Money as evidence, not money to spend and And I believe that the public, is discerning and will be able to sift the chaff from the wheat, so they will know that which is relevant, because it could be a strategy to confuse the issues and determine the conversation to have. But I believe that our investigators are hardworking. They are focused on their eyes on the ball, and these accusations, which are not even made formally, should not be something that would derail or distract them from the main work that they are doing.
One last point on this: what is he being investigated for?
I cannot put out the details, but they are all related to financial issues. The recover the loot is of recovering assets in terms of whether cash or other valuables, whether land. So largely it is about it's about the same oral thing to recover the loot. And let me put this out. There's a lot of investigation, going on. The officials at the Attorney General's Department and the agencies under us, Yoko, BNI, and from now NIB, National Security. They are all working day and night on these things, just to gather evidence, so that people who are not guilty of things that they have been accused of will have the opportunity to be officially, relieved of those accusations, and those who are culpable would also be brought to book and their guilt proven. So we plead with the public to give us a few more days, and God willing, they will see the full picture of what is happening. When an artist is painting and you are standing by, chances are that you may not see the picture, you may not see what he's doing. Usually it will take you some time, then you begin to see that, this is the face, this is, then you will see the clear picture. So I would plead with the public to have patience for us, to be patient with us as we do these critical, investigations. And with time, if indeed crimes have been committed, the evidence will be put together and then action taken in terms of prosecution and the rest.
And talking about arrest on a different matter, the Ghana Web is reporting this morning, Ghana Web and WhatsApp newspaper are reporting this morning that Yoko, an institution under you, has arrested Kobna Dubois, the former Director General of the National Signals Bureau. Is that accurate?
That is very accurate. He was arrested last night on his arrival at the Kotoka International Airport. Where we've been trying to do this for some weeks now, and thankfully we are able to have him. He will be prepared and interrogated, and if the need be would be arraigned before a court. If not, he obviously will be considered for bail, and investigations will continue.
So that's also another ongoing investigation.
That is also one of the investigations, completely different from the one involving the governor of the Bank of Ghana.
And they claim that the allegations for which you are reporting him, for which you have arrested him, are very serious. That's what the
all the oral allegations are serious ones. Involving significant amount of money. In the form of financial loss to the state, in
are
the
you
form
struggling
of
to receive payment?
Misappropriation of public funds, misapplication of public funds, involving money laundering. Those are the nature of offenses that we are dealing with. And don't forget, the President John Maham's primary objective is to restore to the people of this country what they have lost over the period. So his interest is more on recovering the loot and restoring it to the people. Because as you know, corruption has cost us a lot of money than we are even taking loans for. So his position is that if I'm able to recover as much as I could, would have stopped, or at least not be asking for loans and such monies. We would have enough to solve some of our problems. So the primary goal, and I wish to state this very strongly, that the primary goal of this investigation is to retrieve the assets, So and I can tell you that we are not going to be distracted from that. Yes, the law requires punishment in terms of sentencing and imprisonment, but trust me, if we can recover a lot of these monies, we would do so, and we use every lawful means to recover these monies.
I see. Thank you very much. Perhaps on the matter of Afenyo Markins, have you thought about just doing that dance for him to see if you'll be appeased?
Oh, honestly, I didn't think he actually wanted a dance. I thought, I still believe that he was not. I don't think he. I think he's quite a serious person and would not want to convert a serious platform like that to something like. So I still don't believe that he was expecting a dance.
That's quite interesting. But were you at any point involved in any of the cases involving the former governors?
I mean, the cases we are investigating.
No, not now. Because Afenyo Markins says this is the first time a governor is being perhaps investigated.
Oh, Well, that is his claim. So for example, if not for the publication of these pictures by him and passing them on to the media, who would have known that something like this happened? The point I'm trying to make is that investigations usually go on every day involving so many people. But until someone, releases them, and law enforcement usually would like to do these things quietly, because when investigations are announced and are turned into this kind of public jamboree, it becomes very difficult for the investigators. And so generally investigators don't make public some of these preliminary matters. So it is possible that he may not be aware that former governors have been questioned, have been invited, was our Dr. Kwabena Dufo, was he not a governor? Was he not a governor?
Yes.
Yeah, he was a governor.
Yes.
And was he not, investigated in this country? So I don't know what he's saying. I don't know what is motivating him to say what he's saying. So if he's saying that no former governor has been investigated, well, I don't know which fact he's working with, but former governors may be investigated, but if they themselves don't make it public or the investigating officials don't make it public, how would he know? Or maybe perhaps he's forgotten that Dr. Kwabena Dufo was a former governor of this country.
Well, thank you, Doc. Thank you for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you very much, my brother. Have a blessed day.
You too. Dr. Justice Srem Sai is Deputy Attorney General and Minister of Justice, joining us on the line to have a conversation on this particular matter of the search of the house of the former governor of the Bank of Ghana. People are calling it a raid, but from all information we have, it was a search. In fact, we understand the lawyer of the governor was even there when the search was carried out. Serious allegations have been made by, because this were not said by the governor himself. The governor was careful not to come out publicly and organize a press conference and say this thing. So the former governor did not say this. This was said by Alexander Afenyo-Markins. Alexander Afenyo-Markins is claiming that the national security is going around with hungry boys that they don't pay. That they entered into the governor's house, stole 10,000 Ghana cedis and jewelry, and also even decided to play hanky-panky with his cars. They drove his cars, went and parked them somewhere and said, oh, your car is there, go and pick it. Those are allegations that he's made. And those are allegations that national security and Mr. Richard Jakwa, whose name has been mentioned, perhaps maybe they will clarify to the Attorney General. The Attorney General will come and clarify. They are investigators. They are not supposed to be the ones going into the public and shouting and talking plenty. Most investigators don't have to do that. That's how come we are speaking to the Deputy Attorney General.